Welcome to Real Talk TV. I'm your host, Darryl Buchannan. I'm very excited about this show. I have a great show for you. I have a great guest. And I'd like to just thank everybody for supporting Real Talk TV. And when you do get on the video or you watch it on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel. Please hit the like button and smash the share button. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guests, Jesus and Wanda Ruiz. They are founders of Leaving the Street Ministries out in Haverhill. It's an anti-gang, anti-street ministry, and they're doing big things with the youth. I'm just looking forward to this, so I just want to get right into the show. Jesus, will you introduce yourself to my viewers, please?
Thank you for having me. I'd like to start off with that.
Brother.
My name is Jesus Ruiz. I'm president of Leaving the Streets Ministries.
Yeah.
But I was also president of other convictions I had my whole life. You know, so it's we didn't start off that way, but we're ending strong, you know, and what we're doing. So I came out of prison. I did 16 years in prison. I came out very gang involved, you know, and it's a blessing that now I work with all gangs.
Yeah.
Even the gangs I used to go to war with. You know what I mean? So it's amazing how God can take our mess and make it a message, you know. So my wife and I saw the crime and the need in the city of Haverhill. And when we saw that, we didn't ask for no grant. We didn't ask for no help. We just hit the streets. We just hit the streets and reached out to the young adults that were going through it. And it was amazing how so many people were responding to just our messages and the way we were speaking. And I didn't understand until one day a guy was speaking to my wife, and my wife's trying to get him into a detox. She's trying to get him into a holding, but he wasn't ready to do it. So I said, this is gonna be a complicated world to start something from nothing.
Yeah.
But the passion that I saw in my wife's face where made me at peace, where everything's gonna work itself out. And we reached out to another nonprofit in Haverhill to see if they allow us to use a room. So we can a room so Wanda can cook a meal for them, they can come in and we can get them jobs, we can get them off the streets. We didn't just want to have a conversation. We wanted to get them off the streets, you know, because anyone can go and run a group, see you next week. We don't want that. We want to see you succeed and get out of this failing system that we work in. So so it went from, I think it was going to be 5, 6 kids, you know, 6 young adults. It went from 5 in a week. First week was 5. Second week was like 30. It just jumped. Then it went to 70. Then we had 90 guys in one small room.
Yeah.
I said, guys, this was like a trap house. I said, because it was our brothers from the hood. It was our brothers from the hood. So I said, we're going to do a job orientation. And so Wanda reached out to some organizations. They came in to get brothers recruited in jobs. And I'm ancestors with girls too. So Wanda calls me. She's like, where are you? You know, I'm always running late. And she was like, nobody's sitting down. Everybody's looking, because these are guys that got beef with each other. So
all the gangs in one spot?
All in one room. It's
Yeah.
never been done in Haverhill.
Yeah.
So we had them all there, you know. And we had Bloods, we had Outlaws, we had Kings, we had Trinity. So they're like,
You left her by herself.
so it was Wanda, and we had a pastor. He's like, listen, Jesus, you got to get over here ASAP. I'm in a bus full with a bus full of Bloods. So we're on our way there. And I get there, and you can see them standing up. Because some of them got tattoos in their faces, disrespecting the brothers that's right in front of them. So the poor lady who's doing the job recruitment, she's in the corner. She was in the corner with the laptop. Like you can see the fear in her face. So she's never been in a room with gang members or with people from the streets. She normally...
Not that many, it's crowded.
So I go in, and right before I go in, I'm looking at everybody just me mugging each other, you know? And I just looked and I just started praying. I just started praying about the enemy. And as I go in, everyone switched up. Yo, Jesus, what's up? And I just started preaching about the enemy that they don't know.
Yeah.
I said, there's brothers that want to see us fail. There's brothers that we go to war. We got smoke right now for things you don't even know why you're fighting for. Yeah. This is the initial smoke that happened 20 years ago. They don't even know what you're fighting for these days. Yeah. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about you more than you. Yeah. Nobody's here, because real brothers will get you off the streets. You shouldn't be couch surfing and nickel and diming when you call that dude your brother. If he's your brother, he'll take you in and get you off the street. That's false love. But we got to understand how to break that chain and move forward. And this is what we do. So I start sharing my testimony. We got, everybody got hired that day, and they carpooled. They went to work together.
Wow.
Brothers that were ready to kill each other in a room. But all they need is a message from brothers like us, that we come from that world. We don't care about a grant. We don't care about funding. We care about touching hearts. And that was the idea of it, that we cared more about helping somebody else's heart to get right. We wasn't a 501c3. We didn't even have a location. But I promise you, today, we don't have one, but we have two. Because God gives us what we need to move forward.
Good stuff.
You know, we receive awards left and right, but none of that matters. What matters is that one-on-one conversation we have with brothers that are going through it. When we pick up the phone and answer for them, they pick up and answer for us. And we went and we felt the hate. We felt the envy from other people in the community. And that gave me more energy. That gave me more drive to even go harder, you know, because I know what formula works. Yeah. Every formula that was created behind the wall or outside of the wall never worked. And why is that? Because they think you can just pick up some literature, read a book, get certified, and now you know how to fix his life. You know how to help him who's been homeless. You know how to help him who overdosed 5 times. You know how to help him who got molested 7 times. You don't know how to engage none of that. What engages in them, it's the pain that you and I share. No book can teach that. You got to live that. You got to live that life in what you do. And you know what? I learned that you can have all the credentials in the world, and you can never touch a life the way that you and I can. Amen. You know why? Because we've been homeless. We've been addicts. We've been gang involved. We've been street involved. So whatever you're going through, brother, I've already been through it. I've already done it. And there's nothing you can teach me that you read in a book that I didn't already live. And this is why we do the work that we do. You know, it's like I'm gonna pass it to Wanda for a minute, because I really want you. I don't want to get off the topic, and sometimes the Holy Spirit get a hold of me. I don't know how to act.
You don't know how to
act. What really touches my heart is women, young women that loses their kids to DCF.
Yeah, been there, done it.
Because DCF is the worst system in the world. They look at you, oh, you don't got a record? Yeah, you can take 2 kids. And the kids will get molested, they'll get abused, they'll get out of place. I know, I grew up in these systems where I wasn't treated equally. I wasn't treated fair. Because truly, you don't belong to that. We don't belong to that family. Right. So what Wanda does, helping women that lost their kids, fight back for their kids, that are coming out of jail and went through it, I want her to share some of that of the group that she's running.
I didn't know that part, lady. I didn't know that part.
She leaves out the good stuff.
I want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Not too many people have heard my story. I wrote it in a book. Well, you know, I wrote it up.
I'm going to publish.
So first I'm going to say, you know, I'm Wanda, woman of God, first and foremost, recovering addict, co-founder of Leaving the Streets Ministry, executive director, case manager, outreach worker. Many hats, the list goes on. You know, for me, my story is so much so that, you know, I was abandoned. At a young age. I was 9 months old when my mother abandoned me. My father was in the streets hard, and in and out of prison. I grew up around all my uncles. You know, they were violent, drinking, you name it. And I was watching all that at a young age. You know, I was molested growing up. You know, that was swept under the rug. I didn't deal with it. What happens when that happens is you start suppressing everything little by little. And then, you know, I got hit by a motorcycle by a drunk driver while I was crossing the street. And I was in the hospital for a year. I came out in a wheelchair. I had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. That's how I learned Spanish, because my grandmother, she only spoke Spanish. So I had to write to her in order to get my needs met, you know, and in order to communicate, it had to be in Spanish. From there, my life just started spiraling like out of control, you know, like I was already an angry kid because I didn't have my mom there, I didn't have my dad, and I didn't really have anybody that I can call on when, you know, and then being in that situation, I went back to school. You know, you figure, you know, I was in a hospital for a year, so half my face and my, you know, my half of my body was disfigured. So when I went back to school, I was being bullied because of that, because of the way that I looked. And of course, that gave me, you know, learning disabilities, and all of that came with it. So that turned my anger into even more rage, you know, to the point where I'd be in school, like, you know, beating up boyfriends with a skirt on, you know, because, but then at home, that's all I was seeing too, was the violence, you know, my uncles fighting each other, and that took a toll on my life too. And I just felt like I had nobody there. So I would, you know, I would be attracted to the negative, because that's the norm. That was the norm for me. That was the way that I thought I was supposed to live, because that's what I was taught. So they say, oh, you know, when they people ask, well, why'd you become a monster? It's like, you created this monster within me.
You did.
Why are you asking why I'm a monster now?
Yeah.
I just was like, I remember one time, you know, I told my grandmother, you know, I was gonna call the foster mom, my social worker, and I called my social worker and said, my grandmother doesn't want me here no more. I was 13 years old. I just, you know, I got tired of giving her the pain that I was giving her. My grandmother was already old. She was raising me. I wasn't even, you know, her kid. I was, you know, her son's kid. And she had raised 15 of her own.
Damn,
And 10 of them were my uncles. So I was already giving her heart attacks, close to it, you know, and I wanted to save her from that. And at the same time, I just didn't care emotionally. Like, I didn't care. I didn't have no care in the world. You know, that had already been broken for me, that emotional piece, because, you know, I didn't have the parents that were supposed to be there to love me and raise me up. I didn't have that. So I just kept running away from foster homes, and I was put in group homes, and I had burned so many bridges with my family because of my behavior, because they didn't understand that, you know, I started burning bridges. When I got out of the group home, I had nowhere to go. My family didn't open their doors to me. You know, I was that, you know, that black sheep child, you know. So I moved to Boston with a friend of mine that was in the group home, and from there I just started, you know, selling, like, by all means necessary. I had to survive. I didn't have a mom I could call. I didn't have a dad that would, you know, come pick me up. I didn't have any of that, no support system. It was just, you know, me counting on my girls and my girls counting on me and doing it the best way we could to survive. Survival of the fittest, you know. And then from there, I just, you know, it just started with little stuff, you know, drinking, you know, smoking the weed, and it just enhanced from there. It took, you know, drugs took a big part of my life, you know, 10 years of my life. And, you know, moving forward, this last time, you know, thanks to God, I say first, and the steps of recovery that go hand in hand, I have 11 years clean.
Wow. Congratulations.
And, you know, I couldn't have done it without God. I remember the day I went to go get sober, like, I just couldn't get high no more. Like, I felt the pain of my kids not being there with me. And that, you know, the drugs are supposed to suppress your pain, but it wasn't suppressing my pain no more, you know. And so I remember going to the chapel where my grandmother died. Now, I remember to go there because it's something that she had already instilled in me as a child, so I knew who to go to when I was in trouble. And when I went to the chapel, I surrendered my will to God, and I cried like a fountain full of tears. Those were all the tears that I have been holding on for many, many, many years. Wow. And I left them right at the altar, right at God's feet. And when I left there, I tell you not, everything just happened like one thing after another. When I left there, I knew a change had occurred. Over, right? There was a power the power of God that changed me, and it was over. It was done. But I went into recovery and I started fighting for my kids. I had lost all 6 kids. When DCF, this had been like the 3rd time I had lost my kids. So like DCF was already, wasn't trying to give me a chance. And when they got that piece of paper of me, that first perception of what they read is what they thought of me. So they didn't believe in that process of recovery, but I was really done. Like I was doing everything. I was documenting. I was everything, every conversation, every voicemail, every visit. I had a job. I was doing meetings. I was doing the soul program on top of that. So I was traveling all the way to here. Man, I was staying busy, but that was the key.
Yeah.
I stayed to myself, removed people, places, and things. I wasn't there to be friends with anybody. I was there, my focus was on getting my kids back, was to go know God, get my kids back, and just evolve from there. And I did that. I got the most tasks they had given anybody, 32 tasks I got on my service plan with DCF. The most. I completed those in less than a year.
Wow. And by herself. I was locked
By
up.
myself.
Wow. I was
going to ask you. Right?
I was locked up when she was doing all this. So, I'm on the phone. Really,
Wow.
Because when while I'm behind the wall, I tell brothers every day, every time I go into the jails and run these groups, that when we do time, our family does it with us. It's not just us. We good. We got free meals. We don't got no bills. We're comfortable, brother. We over here making lollipops.
We just stress about Jim out there, right?
But when we get on that jack, that's when the stress
That's when the stress kicks
because
in.
we can't really help them the way we need to be out there and helping them out and doing what we do.
So the time that she was going through this, you were locked up?
I was locked up. I was upstate.
Good.
I was in Concord State Prison. Yeah, so I was I was in there really going through it, man, because when I got locked up, it was I won't ever forget, 2 days before I get locked up, I go and hire a lawyer, right? So I went to go see Steven Rappaport, actually.
Everybody gets sick.
I said, listen, I gotta talk to you, brother. And he was like, hey, what's going on? What you get arrested for? I said, no, brother, I haven't got arrested yet. He was like, what? He's like, so why you here? I said, because I'm gonna get arrested. When I do, I need you to come get me. Yeah. So he's like, Jesus, I feel like you should really get yourself evaluated. I said, what do you mean? He thought it was crazy. Because I wanted to hire him before I got locked up. Yeah. He's like, are you thinking of going to commit a crime? I said, no, brother, but I sell drugs for a living. My day's gonna come. Yeah. And when it comes, I need you to come get me. Yeah. And I hired him because I was having flashbacks of cell doors opening and shutting. So I knew I was on my way in. So it's my daughter. So it's my daughter's birthday, and it's coming up. And I said, Charlene, we're gonna go in. We're gonna get a hall. So we got all this. I was gonna go all out for her birthday, and I get arrested at 3:00 in the morning, the same day of her birthday.
Wow.
At 3:00 in the morning, I get locked up.
Wow.
And my daughter, I broke her tremendously. I did. She's a daddy's girl to her fathers, and I destroyed her so much. So I do my bit. I come out of jail, and Wanda puts together a fundraiser, and she's putting a Spanish buffet. So
we want to cook something.
Yeah.
So we had about 10 youth that we took off the streets, and we helped out, and they shared their testimony on how leaving the streets impacted their lives. So Charlene's like, I want to be on that list.
Yeah.
And I said, you sure? She was like, yeah, I do. And so she wrote a powerful letter. She's like, I'm gonna write a letter and I wanna read it. And she says, my dad was the first person I've ever loved.
Wow.
And it's also the first person that broke my heart.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm like in tears. I'm broken down, bro. I'm like in tears watching my daughter read this as she's crying, reading it by how I chose the gangs over her, over my family, period. And as she's reading it, I'm bawling, dude. I'm like in tears. So the room is packed. It was like, there wasn't even no seats. People were standing up against the wall. It was insane, but
That was at your ministry?
No, we actually rented a hall to do this event because our ministry is it's 1,000 square feet, so it's an after-school program. Okay. So as I'm watching her read these letters on how I broke her heart, I felt like somebody was stabbing me and no blood was coming out. But as she's sharing her pain, and then towards the end, she's saying how proud she was of me. And a month before that, she says, I miss the old you. And she's like, I miss the old you, because she was struggling still.
Yeah.
She was struggling, and she was, I meet her first boyfriend, which was, she's like, Dad, there's a guy I'm speaking to. I want you to meet him. And I'm having visions of putting him in the basement. I'm having all these visions of what to do to him when I meet him, you know. And it was funny because as I meet him, Wanda says, if you show your rage to that kid or to her, when she's ever stuck, she'll never call you.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, so I had to show him love, which I didn't understand. Then when I first meet the kid, he's a kid that wants to be a gang member, but he's not from that life.
You're not built like that.
So I'm like, Charlene, you with this soft dude? So I started cracking jokes, and I'm laughing, catch a wreck off him all night. I never seen him again. But it was the last of it. I had to, I thought I was gonna get a hard kid to remind me.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, he's associated with a gang. And it was so funny.
When you see him,
it was like a role play. I was like, oh heck no, but it was the point of just listening to somebody tell you your faults. And when it's your own kid, it really crushes you. You know what I'm saying?
Not to cut you off, I watched an interview and you talked about that touch me. I think I was talking to Katie about that. Was really, really powerful. About Andre.
Yeah.
When you said that you're gonna leave him there, or you're not gonna. I watched that,
know
and I rewinded that again. No, because I'm like,
he's my drive. Andre is my drive.
He's you.
I love all my kids. Don't get me wrong, my kids are my world. But Andre is who I thank. I thank God first, but I thank Andre for my success.
Can you tell that little bit of story?
So,
That story, because that
now,
I rewind.
I'm in the streets, right? I'm ripping and running. I'm out there wilding. I'm going to war with myself, period, you know? So I was out there lost. Now, we had to go see our kids at DCF. And I go see him, and Andre is just silent. You know, he wasn't playing like with my other son, Jesus, and the girls. And so we had a great visit and at DCF, you know, and I was still struggling, you know, and my kids knew that we were still struggling. They know us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they know that. So I'm looking at them, and they're looking, and I get that look in them where, are you ever gonna get us out of here? Are we stuck? You're our only hope to get us out of here. And because of the choices that you're making, you're gonna leave us in here. They didn't say that, but that's what I can read in them. You know what I'm saying? Especially in my oldest. And I felt like the biggest piece of crap in the world because I couldn't get my own life in order. But it was because I was going through so much hurt of losing my other daughter who passed away of SIDS. And when my daughter, Shalisa, passed away of SIDS, there was no explanation. She just died in her sleep. And it drove me crazy.
Died in her sleep?
Yeah, in her sleep. They say,
how old was she?
They say 2 months.
Wow, bro.
They said that she goes into a dream and they forget how to breathe. So,
That's what SIDS is?
Yeah, that's what SIDS. There's no 100% explanation, but they said they believe that they go into a sleep and they forget how to breathe. That's why they always, when a kid's first born, their first 90 days, they always want you to put them on his side and always check the back, you know. And
you were struggling at the time.
I was
when
when
your daughter passed?
she was born. I was on a run. You know, I had like 12 warrants under all different names. I was out there wilding. So I remember when I got arrested in that, it was I went to New York, you know, because so we left to New York to go hide out, you know, and continue our mission, you know. So while we're going through that rage, so I'm going through my own storm still. I never got over my daughter's death, you know, and so how can I help my kids when my life is still a mess? So as I'm bringing Andre, as we're leaving, Andre didn't want to leave. He wanted me to carry him to the car, you know? So as I'm walking, I'm looking at the DCF lady with like so much rage. And where I was thinking of just jumping in the car and taking off, that's what I'm having in mind, you know, because I needed my kids and I couldn't have them then, you know? So as soon as I sat Andre down, he grabs a toy that I gave him and he holds, I had a do-rag on, he holds my do-rag and he's hitting me with the toy. Screaming and crying, how are you gonna leave me in here? You don't want me here no more. Why are you leaving me? I love you, Dad. I wanna go home. And I broke down tremendously that day, you know, and it crushed me, you know.
It's powerful, bro. Yeah. So what? It's powerful, bro.
So Andre is my drive, you know, and I always said that Andre is one out of hundreds of kids that are feeling the way he felt.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna go hard every day for every kid that's stuck in DCF and that don't have a system or somebody to go into. So we opened a youth center for ages 13 through 17. So kids can come home, kids can go there as a safe zone. And that's what leaving the streets is looked at. It's like a safe zone in Haverhill. And kids go there right from school. I got schools that call me because they wanna do the after school program. And we teach them basketball through work skills and drills.
Who is that guy? I seen that Wilkes kid. Is
a beast.
Is he?
This is what he does. He teaches kids basketball. Now this guy is
Is he professional?
He's professional. He charges
he's nasty,
$200 a month.
Yeah.
But we did this because the kids that we were meeting in the streets, they were getting bullied in parks because they didn't know how to play basketball. So Wanda's like, this is gonna stop. So Wanda took a budget that was given to her personally, and she put it in to train these kids how to run ball. And now this guy loved the movement so much that we was doing that he partnered with us. And now that bill went from 200 to 35.
Good stuff.
So now the same kids that were getting bullied are the same kids getting picked first every time they go to the parks and play. Because they're that good now. They're amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And this is why we created this. We created this because we know what works and we know what a kid can do suffering from depression. Yeah. We know what somebody can do when they're going through storms. The reason that my wife and I go as hard as we go is because we've known what we've lost. Yeah. We've known what we've suffered. We know what we've overcome. So nobody that can go and think of one thing in their mind to create a business or an organization that works is taking advantage of the low-income communities and using it for things that don't even connect to the low-income community. Yeah. So this is something where now God has put me in a place where I can speak my voice and I can speak my mind. I sit in tables where I would never think I would sit, you know, with senators, state reps, mayors, chief of police. I go to big places where, to me, none of that impresses me. Yeah. You guys do nothing for the people. We do it. You know, that's why you want to come and take a picture and link up and do what we got to do. But in reality, you need us more than we need you.
I told you that.
So this is one thing I've learned is that we are hands-on in the streets. Yeah. So we go to those neighborhoods where nobody else wants to go to. I like to go into those blocks, into the parks. I bring in karaoke to the parks and just preach, you know, and I go in. That's me. I like to be loud and heard so you can see how much I love you, brother. Because, don't get me wrong, God loves you just the way you are. Yeah. But he loves you too much to let you stay the way you are. That's why we make the noise that we make. Because we know, have you ever met someone where you want it more than they do?
Yeah.
You want it for them so much where sometimes we try to be God. Yeah. We try to take that role. But sometimes we got to let them stumble. Yeah. We got to let them stumble and crack their head so they can be like, oh, shoot, that hurt. I'm not going to do that again. You know? But this is why we do the work that we do. You know why? Because we all lived in a mess. Yeah. But we turned that into a message as we're engraving into others' hearts that are broken, that are going through it. Yeah. That's why when we focus on the vision, God focuses on the provision. Mm-hmm. But a lot of things that I notice and recognize, that everything I do, I have felt racism more and more every day. And the more I feel it, it's the harder I go.
Yeah.
I have felt where we wasn't treated equal, the same, because of where I come from. And don't get me wrong, we've made more noise than anybody in our community, hands down. You know, but at the end of the day, we didn't ask for money. We just went and did it. There are those that talk about what they want to do. They'll create a curriculum of what should be done, and this is what we can do. But the more meetings you do behind these walls, the less you do outside of these walls. Exactly. That's why we do the work that we do. That's why we get involved, we hit the streets. It doesn't matter, we just go with the flow, you know? And sometimes you'll get this vision, but you get cold feet. Oh no, what if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? You just gotta move. You know, and that's one thing that my wife and I has always done. We have always went and moved. But there's one thing I learned, that over the years, this is a broken system that doesn't work. It didn't work 20 years ago, it didn't work 40 years ago, and it's not working now.
It creates,
you know?
But you know what I say?
Yep.
It ain't broken. It's doing exactly what it was meant to do.
Yeah.
It was created this way.
You are so right in
You know what I
that.
mean? So when
It
you
was
say broken,
created. You're
this
right.
is what it
Yep.
is.
Right.
And that's why it's hard for people like us to really go up against them, because we're fighting an establishment.
Yeah.
Us, you know, it's all institutional racism. Yes, systemic, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's hard. But your platform, what you guys are doing, it's like they have to. They have to invest. It's just, they have to. They get funding for it.
Yeah.
And like I said before, it's not about asking, really. It's just about.
It's about, this is what I need, brother.
Give us. No, it is. It
And
is.
it's
Because you're
true,
doing an
though,
amazing job,
yeah.
and they know that. And they know that. But if what happens in that, if we don't know how to talk and we don't know that language, and if we don't know, then they just, you know, they keep hitting us with the crumbs when we're really supposed to go in and get the loaf. You know what I mean, bro? And we'll get the loaf. We'll get the loaf.
Amen.
I wanted to say one thing before, You seem mad humble. No, I'm dead serious, right?
So I'm scared of She makes me scared, brother.
No, I know, but to be, and I mean, what I mean is because I want to talk about this transformation, and both of you actually, because a lot of people, I don't know if you spoke about it a little bit, how God is, it's a God thing, right? You had a lot of anger, it was very violent, gay. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that, and then talk about that place where that transformation happened?
Yeah. My whole life, man, I got raised as a soldier, you know, to go to war. Physically started at my home. My mom used to get together with my uncles who were all partiers. They would party and drink and hustle, you know, and so they would bring all their kids, so all my cousins. We would get together and have like a fight club every Saturday. We would go at it for $5. And for me, I was obsessed with candy back then. So back then was the penny candies. I said, you mean I get 500 candies if I beat the crap out of him? I said, I'm on that, you know? So I would fight my brother and I would go in, you know, and I would train to fight every day. I would go to school, the biggest kid. I'll hit him, we'll fight. But it's like I always, and it was the rage that I had for my mom. The hate I had for her, I took it out on them. That's what made me good and fighting, you know, and I never wanted to take orders from nobody. That's why I've always put in the work I put in, just to always build that rage.
You just said something, man. I don't want to.
Yeah.
The rage from your mom?
Yeah, like
Wow.
I couldn't stand my mom. I really couldn't, because she'll have a boyfriend, she'll show off in front of them, she'll slap me in the face in front of them, drinking. She'll just have in a conversation with just my aunt's chilling. I'll ask her a question. She'll just backhand the crap out of me, you know. So I was like, I was the youngest, but I got beat down, you know, a lot. And by my mom, my stepfathers, every new stepfather we had. And I said, last time my stepfather hit me, he was he moved on me, you know, because I got suspended in school. Then my mom hit me. Then my uncles would come and hit me. They would come in a line repeatedly.
Just like a punching
So,
bag?
yeah,
That's
pretty
crazy.
much. So I said, I remember I told my stepfather, I said, this is gonna be the last time you ever put your hands on me. What did you say? And so they put me in my room. So I trained I trained and trained fighting for when I met him again. And every day I said, that brother's gonna see me. And so I ended up getting into a fight in school. My mom said, I'm not even gonna touch it, your uncle's on his way. So I said, I'm waiting for him. So I had some brass knuckles, so I got some brass knuckles. A buddy of mine gave me. It had like the knife in the side. And I said, I'm breaking his jaw with it as soon as he comes in the room. So he came in stumbling drunk, and he's like, come over here. And as soon as I got up, I hit him with everything I had. As he falls down, I sat on his chest and just kept hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. My mom calls the cops on me. I get arrested, so they take me to juvie. And that was the happiest day of my life.
In juvie?
It was the happiest day because I conquered what I was afraid of. I feared that man so much, and I know that by me moving on him the way that I did, I felt free. Even though I was going to jail, I felt free. I felt like I could breathe, So, but I'd never been to DYS, so they sent me to Western Jail. Remember Western Jail? So they sent me to Western Jail, so I'm like, I've always heard stories. So I said, I'm on my way there. I'm on my way in there.
It was your first time, was it?
First time.
Wow.
I was 12 years old.
First time is crazy.
First time. So I go in, and the staff's telling me, hey, there's a lot of tough kids in there. Be careful. They might try to take you.
And you're like...
I said, guy, I'm knocking out the first person that asks me a question. That's how it was. This one guy comes, he was from Brockton. His name was Toby. He was like, hey, where you from? I laid him out. Get on top of him. They put me in a room, locked me, and I was like that. Fighting for me was therapy. Yeah. That's how I release, even in growing in and out of the system. Anytime we had an issue, I go in the cell, we'll fight, and we'll give each other that. That was therapy. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed fighting, but while I'm in jail, building this rage, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. So I was 12 years old. When I won't ever forget, I'm locked up. I'm in Walpole, and I'm locked up, and I'm doing 23 and 1. I was at the gang block. 23 hours locked in, 1 hour for recreation. And as I'm locked in the cell, it was I had to make a decision because I was tired of the life I was living. So I get out for my 1 hour of recreation, and I got 1 hour. That's 15 minutes to shower, 15 minutes to use the phone, 15 minutes to get something to eat, and 15 minutes to walk around and back in for another 23 hours. Yeah. So on my way in, I get a letter from Wanda that comes in, and she sends me a verse that says, a woman can be as sweet as caramel or as poisonous as a snake. And I felt like that's the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard. Because I felt convicted due to the life I was living. So I come out the next day, and I go to see one of my boys who's doing life. And so I got to go see him. Matter of fact, I don't know if you remember him. Remember Casper?
Yeah, Casper, yeah.
Him. So he became a Christian in jail, and he's doing his thing. Yeah. So I said, brother, I need a Bible. He said, brother, you don't believe in God. What you need a Bible for? And I said, listen, my wife just sent me a disrespectful verse from the Bible, and I got to send her one back. He said, brother, there's no disrespectful verses in the Bible. But because I felt so convicted, that's what I thought, And he says, it's better to not know God than to know him, because God's nobody to play with.
Yeah.
That's true.
Don't think you're going to come and read a couple of scriptures and then put them down, because he's not going to let you go. I said, fool, just give me the Bible, So when he gives it to me, it electrocuted my whole body as soon as I touched it. It shocked me. Where I dropped it. Yeah. Like my whole body, from toes to my head, was like I'm getting electrocuted. Like I put my hands on a socket. That's how my body felt. Yeah. For like a good 3 seconds. He's like, why you threw it on the floor? I said, they was shocking me, brother. He was like, pick it back up. So, I'm nervous to pick it back up. and so I pick it up, right? And I go back, and I'm walking towards my cell. So I asked the CO that was at the booth. I said, hey, yo, how long I got to be in my cell before I can go to a regular block? He was like, you got to be in here for a minimum of 2 years until your points go down.
Oh, yeah, in the gang,
Because your points was up there, you're highly gang involved, and you're always around riots every time they happen, because your record, it goes from South Bay, from South Bay, from Boston. Every time there's a riot or a fall gang involved, you're always there on the cameras, you know, and that was me. I was like I was the media, trying to calm it down. And so it was like, so it was funny, you know. So I go in, and so I said, so I have to be for minimum. He's like, a minimum. Without, you got to stay ticket free. So I'm like, so I'm like,
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. Because it takes that long.
Yeah. No, I'm saying to be ticket free for 2 years. I know.
Yeah, well, that's hard. I said, brother, I can't stay ticket free for a week. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is. We're always trying to play the system in there. And so in there, they took away our microwaves. Because somebody got rocked with our microwaves, so they took that. We had the hot pots, they took that. So we had to create our own stuff through the outlets. You know what I mean? So as I go in there, so I go in and I'm reading the Bible. So I'm in there for another 23 hours. And as I'm reading the Bible, I'm like stuck. It's like 3 in the morning now, and I'm still reading. I'm still going through Genesis. And I forgot about the scripture that Wanda wrote. I didn't even write it back. I was stuck. They cracked my door for rec. I didn't even go out. Wow. I was stuck where I couldn't get my eyes off of it. I'm drinking black coffee straight to stay up. Keefy. You know, I'm like, Keefy, bro. Horrible Colombian coffee. It tastes like dirt. But in there, it's like gold, brother, you know? Yeah. Yo, that's like a pure drug in there. So I'm in there drinking coffee, staying up. I was in there for 2 days, brother, without getting out. And I got mad, and I took the Bible, and I slammed it. I slammed it on the desk and I started yelling. Wow. First time I ever spoke to God. So I'm swearing. I'm like, oh, if all these testimonies are true, how can you help so many people in the Bible and be in their lives and my life is such a mess? And you call yourself a God? And I'm yelling, talking. And I said, if you truly are the living God that this book says you are, get me out of here today and I'll leave everything to follow you. Get me out of here. Yo, as I'm looking through the glass, 15 minutes later, I see a captain comes in. You know the captain normally comes, signs, and leaves.
Sign the books and leave.
Nah, he didn't even sign. He came right to my door. As he comes in, he's like, Ruiz. I said, what's up? He's like, pack your things, I'm moving you. Brother, I start crying. I'm in tears, picking stuff up. He moved me into a cell when I'm out all day for recreation, and my cellmate was a pastor.
Wow.
And I literally got on my knees and I surrendered, and he explained to me the Bible, and so I asked him, like I felt that rage just go to just humbleness. And he tells me, he's like, you don't sound like the person I used to see in the yard when you used to walk around. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, when you used to come out and walk for an hour, I used to see the devil in you. Wow. And I said, what do you mean? He was like, you just had so much rage, so much anger. And I know that when you used to walk, you didn't speak to nobody. You would stop in cell 27, that was where Casper was at, and you'll speak to him and you'll continue walking, but your face is like you can see hell in your face. Wow. And you have that rage where you just wanted to kill somebody. But I'm hearing the story with my daughter's birthday, I missed. Yeah. I left my wife for dead once again. And as I'm just doing circles, you know, just building, just hoping somebody bumped into me. Hoping, like I just wanted to fight. I just wanted to go to war. That was all I had in my mind. But when I go in there, like my whole heart changed. Wow. It's like I was never in gangs. It's like I had never done drugs. Like my mind was renewed. It was just something different. So when I'm telling Wanda what happened in the cell, and I was like, I'm reading the Bible to her, and I felt God telling me to start my mission there. Yeah. So what I did, I started, after they put me out in regular blocks, so it's a big dorm, and so I get somebody knocks on my bed, Jesus, you're moving. I said, where am I moving? I'm moving you to Concord. They moved me, because I was waiting for classification to come and get me. That's when classification used to be in Walpole, so they sent me to Concord. I go to Concord Medium. And
Concord,
in Mass.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I go over there, and because my point was still high. So I go over there, and as I'm over there, it was just a lot of religions between 5%ers, Zulu Nation, Buddhas, Christian, Catholics. And I'm like, this is confusing, brother. This is worse than the gangs. You know what I mean? So it was so much religion on what was God and what wasn't. What was prophet, what wasn't. And so I have a dream. And that's what made me humble. in my dream, I had a dream with Elijah from the Bible. So, because I didn't know who to choose or who to go to. And so I was praying on, don't lead me into somebody that's going to lead me astray. Lead me into somebody that's going to engrave me into the word and build me up, the right way. Because I didn't like Christians. I used to make fun of them. Because I thought they were sex offenders. I thought they molested kids. Like I thought the worst of them because of what I seen and heard over the news of priests molesting kids. Just the stories that I kept hearing. And when I learned this was that Elijah from the Bible, so in my dream, he says, Jesus, come over here. And he's like, it's me, Elijah. So I'm like a little kid, it's Elijah. I'm running over there. He's like, sit right here on the grass. But it looked like a highway. He's like, sit right here on the grass. So I sit on the grass. I'm like a little kid waiting for a lollipop, excited, right? Because, I was speaking to Elijah. He says, don't worry about false prophets. Focus on the word of God. And the word of God will teach you through the Holy Spirit of everything you need to do or need to get done. Forget about false men. So I get a knock on my bed. Jesus, visit. I wake up and I go, shoot, that dream was crazy, so I couldn't wait to tell Wanda. So I get a visit. So my fault, before, in my dream still, he says, go down this road. Keep going down the road. As soon as you get to the bottom of the road, there's going to be a big light that's going to say Assemblies of God Church. Because now I got parole, so I'm ready to get out. And this was towards the end of my bed. And he says, because I was looking for a church to go to. So in my dream, he says, keep going straight down, and there's going to be a big sign that's going to light up. It's going to say Assemblies of God Church. Go to that church. And then I get the knock on my bed. Jesus, you got to visit. And I said, it's not my wife. I said, who the heck is it? So I go. And it's a brother named Norberto. And he's like, how you doing? I'm Norberto. And I says, do I know you? He says, no. But the chaplain here asked you to bring a sermon. And you preached. And he says, when you preached to the guys in prison, he says he would have thought you were preaching for 20 years.
Wow.
He said the Holy Spirit was just in you. Guys were crying as you're preaching. And I was preaching about the walls of Jericho. On when these walls comes down, when we get that trumpet, we got to go full force, not thinking of what army's on the other side of that as we get out of here. So the guy Norberto says, I'm Norberto from Assemblies of God Church. I said, this is crazy, bro. So I told him what happened in my dream, and he invited me to that church that was right in Haverhill. And
that's how you went to Haverhill?
And Wanda was already in Haverhill. So I went over there, and that's the church that paid the first year for the youth center. Because he says, Jesus, I want to invite you. I'm having a board meeting, and I want you to invite me. I want to invite you to our basement. That's what we're having the meeting. So me, it kind of like I had flashbacks. And I said, Pastor, with all due respect, when I invited guys to the basement, it didn't turn out so good. So he starts laughing, and he's like, no, I'm serious. So I go over there, and the board approved to write a check for leaving the streets for $12,000. Wow. And so I know that before I came out, that was my change. That went from rage to love. Yeah. So it's like, even now, like I don't have that rage that I used to have. I don't have that chaos. You know what I mean? But what sometimes I feel when someone's taking advantage of somebody else, because as Christians, I've learned that people take advantage of our Christianity.
Yeah,
and I've learned that we got to be saved, not soft. It's got to be something different because people take advantage of what you're doing. So I learned through that. But being a Christian, I thought everyone was walking in love and just walking after God's heart. When I came home, I said, there's brothers at church praising and in the club on Fridays, and it was different. I was like, wow.
It's hard.
So not every Christian is for God. No. And I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I came out blindly and learning. But now that you get to see the big picture on how I went from being such a soldier and ready to go to war with the world to just loving the world.
Wow.
You know, because this world is corrupt, and this world is blinding our future, our kids, our young adults. This is why we do the work that we do. But guys tell me, Jesus, I feel, and these are guys I work with in jail, they says, I feel that every time I have a one-on-one with you, I feel like I can do anything. I'm unstoppable. I said, brother, it's not me you feel that way. It's someone that lives inside of me that you still haven't accepted. I said, but this is the key of it. The key of it, I don't fall under a religion. People ask me all the time, is your ministry under religion? I said, no. I believe in relationships. Relationships is what matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I focus, I just want to be in your life, like I told him. I just want to be in your life, whether you're going through good times, bad times, the worst times. And he tells me, you never even invited me to a Bible study. I said, brother, I'm not here for that. I'm here to be in your life.
Yeah.
But when that's what you truly want, I'll guide you to that 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't promote that.
Don't promote
I promote just being in your life. What do you need? Let me build a community of resources around you so like that if you struggle with recovery, we get you plugged in with NFI. If you struggle with mental health, we get you lined up with behavior services, all the resources that Wanda gets. So we get one individual and we build a whole community around them. Because it takes a village to raise a kid. And we got to do it together, not working. But when people get territorial, that's what happens. Nothing engages. We have churches from all over, from Shrewsbury, from New Hampshire, from Haverhill. They come from everywhere. Because leaving the streets is not about us. It's about serving the community and serving together. But when everyone's working in unity, making noise, that's what works. That's the transformation that we get. Like sometimes I'll preach and they'll tell me they don't believe that I was in gangs. They don't believe I was in the streets.
You don't.
Because it's different. It's not. I'm not the same person.
No.
I don't speak with that rage. I just speak with passion. I speak with that passion of caring and going the distance for our future, which is our kids.
Good.
That's why we continue making that noise. But if I would have never shared my testimony the way I do, they would never think it was me, you know? But that's why we're so successful at it, because we care a little bit more. Because we know where they're at. We know how stuck they are. And the point is making that difference and connecting on where they're at, meeting them. This time, Wanda gets a call at 1 a.m. Honey, I need you to go pick these guys up. They're at Dunkin' Donuts, bring them to a hotel, and we'll go and bring them. And that's what we do. And then while they're in the hotel, one of us calling shelters to get them lined up into that. You know what I mean? And God created all this. He created for us to help. Because I remember there was time where they gave Wanda money for herself, you know, for like the outreach programs. But you're supposed to take a portion of that and pay yourself. She's like, I'm not paying myself. This is for the city. She invested the whole thing into the block. It's like when we got paid for doing outreach. We invested into a second location, you know, to keep on growing because we believe in what's going to go in there. And we believe in transformation. We believe in change. That's why we continue on investing what's given to us. We give it right back to God.
Those seeds are planted there, multiple. Let me ask you, thank you, man. Let me ask you, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the programs and services that you provide, like the women, the groups or whatever? What you want to talk about?
So
the type of women that, you know, their backgrounds and what you were trying to provide for.
So the type of woman that, you know, I normally work with are women that I once was, you know, and the services that I am able to help them, that I provide is just the tools and techniques that work for me. So one group that I do, I've done it a couple of times, but I just recently started it again, was Bring It to the Table. So Bring It to the Table is, you know, women from all walks of life going through all situations that come together and lay it at the table. And it's powerful. I set it up, you know, I set up the whole table like a big event, you know. Sometimes I'll do pocketbooks filled with, you know, makeup and stuff to give them like value, you know, to uplift their spirits, to edify them, to empower them. A lot of times, you know, there may be someone that comes in from the community, a woman that, you know, was a woman like me that didn't have any support and didn't have parents to lean on. And they may need that extra support. And there we have, you know, women, you know, godly women, business mentality women, that can give them the resources and support that they need to be there for them so that they can be successful in their life. The biggest for me is directing the program in a way that's going to be beneficial to the people we serve and to the community itself. And I'm so laid down, my face doesn't just look like this for no reason. I'm laid down straight. When something isn't working, I change it. I add to it. I take away from it. I increase it. But first and foremost, I always listen to God's voice and His direction, because I want to stress that. To me, that's important, because I want to take the focus off myself. Because when you take the focus off of yourself, you give it to something that's bigger than you, and creates everything that we're doing. He's able to create to build even more, build more for the community to make change. So we do a lot. We help with employment. We help with detox programs. We do the groups like the fatherhood group, bring it to the table, freedom from violence. And we do a lot of events too out in the community, do a lot of outreach events. We get a lot of calls from the city. We help the elderly.
You guys everywhere.
we
No,
do everything.
If you haven't
We
seen
set up
it, right?
events for the elderly at the senior center. I did the St. Patrick's for them, set it all up.
set
It
it
was
all up. It was
amazing.
crazy.
Valentine's Day, I did it for them. Whenever sometimes the
90 years
elderly
old,
call me.
dancing, jam.
Yeah.
So Wanda had a whole bunch of youth. She had them write cards and thank you bags to the elderly as they go into the table, thanking them. And the DJ played some music.
Wow.
But it was like old, like that old school music from the 60s from the movie Grease. They got up, started jamming. they got crazy, but it was like they felt alive. And whenever there's an issue like snow removal for the elderly, they call the city hall. The city hall calls us, and Wanda has the kids that we got off the streets go and unshovel their cars, unshovel their driveway, because the way that Wanda created this format for them, that we're gonna help you get off the streets, but you got to give back 10 hours a month of community service, and we focus on the elderly, because the elderly is what really needs that help and that guidance.
And those are the two. You're right. Those are the two. The youth and elderly, the two most important things in the community.
Because it's crazy. Wanda got so much pictures,
It is
right?
crazy.
If you look on the Facebook, you see the kids pulling up in Acuras, opening the trunks. Wanda loads it with food because they do the food pantry. All the food pantry deliveries, they do it. They bring it to them. So they pull up in Honda, Civics, Acuras, and this kid in Newark, I want to give him a big shout out. That's my man. He's the one. He moved from Pennsylvania to Haverhill just to be with Leaving the Streets.
Wow.
That's how much Leaving the Streets
He's
impacted
into
his
it,
life.
yeah.
So he would pull up in the Acura, Wanda would flood his car with food boxes, and he would go and deliver to all the families, him and the other kids that we work with.
They're dedicated,
So she had a team of that, but of just delivering to the elderly. But we learned that we was focusing a lot on food because of the pandemic. Our vision wasn't the food pantry, but because of the pandemic, people were reaching out to Wanda, Leaving the Streets, because they lost their jobs, they needed food. So Wanda decided she got rid of all the gaming tables, because we opened March 7th. COVID happened a week later. But we never closed. We stood open, like we was connected to the mayor's email. So every time they reached out to him, he'll forward it to us. And Wanda had all the kids making masks, because at that time, they couldn't buy masks nowhere. You couldn't even get toilet paper, brother. It was crazy.
Water, nothing.
As you remember, it was nuts. So we was out there in the fire, putting in work, helping out, getting involved. So anyone that needed anything, they would reach out to us. So now that everything got better, Wanda decided that it was better to just focus on our mission. Our mission is young adults. So we still do the food pantry, but just for young adults. Just for the young adults that are going through it. Because it's knowing what works in our community. And when we have other people that are doing the food pantry, we can all engage together, because we were getting a lot of the bigger crowd. So I said, I would tell people, hey, if you live over here, you can go to that food pantry. There was they said, it's not like yours.
Yeah.
So I said, what do you mean? They're like, I don't feel uncomfortable. At your place, I feel like comfortable. Like Wanda would have the young adults on a grill, cooking out, giving people food as they were coming for the food boxes. Wow. Like she would give out so much stuff like boxes. You know, some food pantries you go, you get 2 or 3 bags, and they send you on your way. Wanda was giving boxes. Like I'm talking 3, it was crazy. 3, 4 boxes with goodie bags, and on top of that, they will bring their kids or their grandkids into leaving the streets. So that's why our numbers were so crazy getting jobs. Yeah. Last year alone, we got 276 jobs. Wow. You know, and we was just flooding through it. This year, we're over 200. And that's because we focus more on housing, getting a little over the 200 mark on the jobs, but finding them housing. So we had kids that were sleeping in tents, but they were getting up and going to work. These kids were couch surfing, but they were getting up and going to work, you know? And that's the idea, that it's meeting them wherever they're at.
How do you motivate them to do that? How do you motivate somebody to get from a tent and still go to work? And how do you get them to see themselves in a house, or you know what I mean, or housing? How do you
know,
get
there's
them
one
to see
thing that I learned, that I found out who they were. So I would tell them, listen, I need advice. So hey, so this is the trick I would use on them, right? They're probably watching me right now going crazy. He said that to me. I would say, I'll find out what his struggles was, and I'll find out what he struggled with, and I would ask him advice for somebody else, but the person I'm describing is him. So I would describe him, but like, yo, listen, I need help with this brother, but this brother's selfish. So I'll describe everything he is. And he'll sit back and think, and I'm trying not to laugh, but he'll sit back and think. He's like, yo, I want you to send them to leave the streets. So it was like that because they didn't know who they were. Exactly. But he'll be the first to talk about why things ain't going right in his life. Because we're quick to blame, except point the finger to ourselves, when we're 99% of the problem. Exactly. Because you have relationships that are toxic, but you embrace them instead of cutting them off. Yeah. So we gotta understand that sometimes you even gotta remove yourself from that lifestyle. And so our motivation to them is just showing them how worthy they are. But for you to get here, you need to let this go. Sometimes it's your own family that you have to cut off. Yeah, sometimes it can be people in your life who are taking advantage of. The ones that told you, I love you their whole life. But when that relationship is toxic, you have to remove it. Yeah. You have to change it. You know, it's getting them to understand that they're not alone. And I can push you to do this, but you got to meet me halfway. Yeah. You know, because I can't do more work than you, because I will hurt you more than I am helping you. Yeah. So that's why it's just meeting them where they're at. 2, showing them love. 3, showing them how worthy they are. But 4, always holding them accountable for when they fall. Because every time they do something reckless, every time they come in,
he's like the mother figure.
Every time they come in, we're like, yo, Wanda wants to talk to you. Oh man, they'll sit down because she'll drill them. She'll tell them because it's like she says, you know, I tell you these things because I love you and I want to see you succeed. But what you're doing is not right. Okay. You're spending more time on your block than you are with your kids. You know, so she breaks it down. She tells them what they don't want to hear, but they say they love coming and getting advice from us, but they hate to hear it because we always tell them what they don't want to hear. How can I tell you doing a good job when you're slacking? So we got to hold them accountable so we can fix them and right before they fall. Yeah. You know, and that's the idea. It's just giving them your time, making yourself available for them. Good stuff. You know, it's that communication.
Good stuff. Do you guys have any, last minute things that you want to say? I'm interested to know what is your vision for, where would you want to see Leaving the Street Ministries in a year or 2 from now?
In a year or 2 from now, me personally, I would like to see Leaving the Streets Ministries in Lowell, Boston, Lawrence, because these are the areas that kids are getting drilled, but not a center, housing. Housing where they can live.
Sober housing?
Sober housing. Sober houses, but a little different from a sober house, like a safe house. I would like to get 2 houses. One for girls that are struggling with sex trafficking, domestic violence. Because women, I believe that young women are being taken advantage so much. They're being used as drivers while they're getting manipulated and destroyed and beat up through social media, they're getting destroyed. I've seen so many videos where young girls are being destroyed by verbally. So I believe that they don't got that safe house, because you can have a father and mom in your life and still not have them.
That don't mean you're
But
not,
I
that don't mean
know-
you're safe,
exactly.
right?
So I believe my vision is housing, man.
Okay.
I need housing to do the job that we do. That's the only thing that we're missing is housing. And we're trying to build it. We've been meetings after meetings after meeting, trying to get one house that we can guarantee that house will turn into 10. No doubt about it, because of the programming that we have set in play and what we're doing. And my goal in the next 2 years, I would like to get one house and a basketball gym that has like a building that can have a gym in the bottom that we can turn into like a center, one big location, and apartments upstairs. That we would be able to run the whole ministry connected to it, you know?
That's dope, yeah.
So
dope.
it's, because it's important. Just think about it, what's being built in our communities. You're building stores for banks. You're building stores, you're big buildings. We're talking crazy buildings that has to do for things that ain't touching lives in the streets. You know what I mean? And I know that people think more of a profit. But when you're helping these young adults find a place to go live, it will turn into an amazing revenue, but they don't trust. A lot of people don't believe in trust and change. They don't believe in that. To a lot of people, if it makes money, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what a lot of people think. To us, we didn't get into this for that.
Yeah.
But we know what works and what doesn't. But because of the work we've been doing, it's been an 80% success rate, job-wise, of guys doing amazing.
Wow.
20% go back to the streets. So I would say our key is to get them some type of housing and connect it to like a basketball gym that we're able to get kids out of the streets.
Yeah, good stuff.
I don't know about you, Ham. What do you think?
What do you think?
I would like to build.
You know she was.
We discussed this before. Housing and like a whole community for the people that we work with, just one whole community.
Yeah.
You know, where they have everything right in that community. They don't even have to leave the community in order to get all their needs met. You know?
So like similar to like a village.
Yeah, village.
This was Wanda's vision's been for
Yeah.
a while, where it's fenced in, but all in one.
Yeah.
Housing, work, jobs, everything, you know?
Everything they need
And,
in one.
everything they need in one location. You know, these are the people that, think about it this way, they get kicked out of everywhere else. The kids we work with, they've been kicked out of every other program. They've been kicked out of every institutional, ship it from jail to jail. So that's what we pray for.
Yeah.
We pray for the worst. We pray for the ones that nobody else wants to deal with. That's what God sends our way, you know?
Yeah.
So
Good stuff.
it's a blessing.
Wow. Can you tell the viewers if they want to help and where they can go to your page or go to your website to look at what you guys are doing?
You can reach us on Facebook. You know, Facebook, we're on it, responded a lot. You know, we actually received a message from Facebook for responding the fastest.
Yeah.
That's how we're on it, you
Yeah,
know?
Facebook, we're on Instagram. You can go on our website, leavingthestreetsministry.network. We're on TikTok. We're on LinkedIn. We're everywhere. Twitter. You can find us everywhere.
Man, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys coming in. Your work, like I know you, you know what I mean? It is people like us, man, that, like I said before, out of medication, you know what I mean? I'm like torn right now between just things, but I want to be involved at some point. I mean, I definitely got to kick it with Katie, but to do something, because you guys are doing the right thing, and you guys are growing, and yeah. I love you guys.
Thank
Come
you.
back anytime.
Thank you.
You guys can come in, host a show if you ever need to or whatever, and I appreciate it. You want to say anything to your kids?
We love you.
And we see you, know?
We
Andre,
gotta get to you.
Andre, you made me cry. You're probably grounded for a month.
Yeah.
But it's, I would like just to say to my kids that one day you're gonna have kids, and know that what you do to your parents will come back
Yeah.
and aren't you on that? So always be humble, have a teachable heart, and listen to your kids while they're going through storms. But obey your father and mother through all that you do, or you're gonna be crashing with your own kids.
Yes.
You know?
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for watching this. I also want to say that a lot of us complain about what goes on in the street. We all complain that there's too much crime, there's too much gangs, there's too much drugs, there's too much overdosing. And for me, I look at these complaints, and there's always people that are sitting there on the sidelines and never getting involved. It's organizations like this that are trying to do the thing. They're on the front lines. You don't have to go out there, but you can help. You know, so get involved, stop complaining, and let's get this work done. I love you to Taisha, Darryl, and Zayla. Peace.